big games, 5 touchdowns the last 2 weeks running the ball. And he had double-digit tackles last week in the Hoover game. I'm sure he had a lot of tackles yesterday as well.
Yeah, when you've got Hoban going for it on 4th down because they're scared they may not score again, you know your game plan's working. You know you have a good group playing a great game. So the final there, 21-14, Hoban, they defeat Lake in that one. They will move on to play Nordonia. We almost had a Lake-Green matchup if that had worked out how we'd hoped there, Kenny. But nonetheless, congratulations to the Blue Streaks. Really, really good year. I think a lot of people know that program. And again, they prove once you're in the playoff, if you're that program, you can get going and make the difference. So yeah. Let's shoot to our first guest of the day. We've talked about that game a ton to open the show, but good chance to get some more details here with Coach Antonio Hall. Coach, good morning. Congrats on the win last night.
Morning, fellas. How you doing?
Hey, we're good. Not as good as you, though, this morning, Coach. You're still playing, heading to week number 13. You and I chatted after the game, but maybe you can give me a little more detail about what you said in the locker room at halftime when you were down 14-7, because you dominated the third quarter 28-7, and that really won you that game last night.
I really didn't say much. Just refocused the guys, made sure that they knew that as long as we stay together and just, keep chopping wood and executing, eventually things are going to go our way, and that's ultimately what happened.
Coach, I'm watching the highlights this morning. Kenny's talking about the game, breaking it down as a classic, as a back-and-forth heavyweight battle. Did you kind of have that feel in your head on the sideline watching all that happen?
Yeah. I think both sides, both coaching staffs had great game plans. I thought, both ball clubs played tremendously hard, executed tremendously well. Like I say, I'm very impressed with what Coach Rohr is putting together over there at Jackson and what he's building. And last night, it felt like a playoff game. It was fun.
There's what turned out to be, I think, the game-winning touchdown there. Cam Montgomery, Coach, we just showed it. The Pups push on 4th and 1 there, Coach. I'm standing behind that, and the whistle never blew. So he must have been moving just enough where your guys were able to push him in. How did you see it from the sideline as that play was developing?
Yeah, it's a game of inches, literally. And the fact that Cam kept his legs churning and guys, wanted to give that second and third effort to try to push him in the end zone. That's what playoff football is about. That's what McKinley football is about.
Coach, last night Lake had a big game against Hoban, and something I noticed in that one was it's the biggest game of the year. It's a tough matchup, so they go ahead and they give it to their 2 best players most of the game. Charlie Christopher gets the ball, Ty DeGeorge gets the ball. For you guys, did you have a similar mindset, like, hey, we have to get the ball in the hands of our best players? Or was it, hey, let's just run our offense and see who's making it work?
Yeah. We obviously in those situations, you try to create mismatches and game plan to where you think you're going to be effective. I think last night, our H-back did a really good job. Our tight end did a really good job in the things that we were trying to get accomplished. And then, we were able to run the ball effectively and then throw off of that. Cam had a big game. Keith Quincy had a big game. Both our running backs had good games, but all started up front with our offensive line. But just like Lake showed, anything is possible when you get to this point of the year. If your guys are dialed in and executing, and you're pretty healthy, you got a shot.
Billy, 5 different players scored touchdowns for Coach Hall last night. And none bigger than the 98-yard kickoff return, Coach. It's 14-7. We're going to look at it here. And you told me last night that you moved Johnson to kick return here. A great coaching move by you.
Well, it wasn't just me. It was our special teams coach, who's also our running backs coach as well. So, he obviously noticed that we have opportunities to get Jamar on the field in multiple facets, and I'm glad he did because he was definitely the spark we needed last night to get going in the second half.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, a play like that, special teams unit, not only Jamar, as he has a great return there, but you had a lot of guys making sure the block is there, downfield blocking. That's hustle from your team, right?
Yep. And I'm on the sidelines, trailing the play the whole time, looking for that yellow flag because it always seems to hit the field when we score a touchdown. But luckily this time it didn't.
And what he's talking about, Billy, they had 2 touchdowns called back, significant yardage touchdowns called back. So I can understand the trepidation there, Coach, looking around 4 or 5 times, right, to make sure there was no laundry there.
Yep. Can't breathe until I take the scan of the field and make sure there's no yellow out there.
I love it. I love it. Cam Montgomery's been a huge part of your offense this year. A big game yesterday. How much conversation did you have with him before this game, Coach? Or is it just, kind of let him get out there and do his thing?
Well, you could try to have a conversation with Cam, but it'll be a short conversation because he's one of those quiet assassins. He's just all smiles. His demeanor never changes. Always confident, poised. Matter of fact how he approaches things. But our offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach spends a lot of time with Cam throughout the week. A lot of time with him in the film room on game day. A lot of time on the field with him before the game. So, Coach McClure definitely's had him dialed in and ready to go the past few weeks.
His numbers last night, Billy, Cam Montgomery, 13 of 17, 209 yards, super efficient, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He ran the ball 5 times for 23 yards and a touchdown. He is the Community One Credit Union Player of the Week, showing up big in the biggest game of the year, revenge game, because the last time these two teams played, he threw, I think, at least 1, if not 2 picks. He was sacked 6 times, and so the O-line gave him time, and he benefited from it. And, Coach, along those lines, allowing him to become our Community One Player of the Week, what did you do differently at the point of attack, the O-line, because you knew they were going to blitz again, and he had time to throw. I don't think he was sacked at all yesterday.
Yeah. So hats off to our offensive line coaches. Since that game, they've just gone back to square one, working fundamentals, working a lot of movement, a lot of blitz pickup sessions. Making sure that in practice we see the toughest looks that possible. So in the game time, we're prepared, ready, and it's a lot easier to decipher. Hats off to our O-line coaches past few weeks getting the guys prepared. And hats off to Cam because last night to deliver some of those throws, he had to take shots and he took a few big ones. And he's as tough as they're going to come. So he stands in the pocket. He sees the blitz. He gets punched in the mouth, delivers the ball. And he gets up and does it again. So just can't say enough about his toughness and his grit.
Billy, to piggyback off that, 0 sacks of Cam last night. I had you guys for at least 5 sacks of Lucas Eckerman, Colin Hinkle with 3, Dior Gardner with 2. How were you guys able to put pressure on Eckerman last night?
Well, it's funny because I found out during summer camp that Colin Hinkle's nickname in 8th grade was Sack Master. And so all season I've been riding him, calling him Sack Master. And he's definitely lived up to that moniker. Tremendous energy. Colin is a guy who's a hard hat, lunch pail guy. He's going to come to work every day. Like Cam, he doesn't say much. He just does his job. He was actually captain of the week for us this week, and he came out and had a big game to back that up. And Dior is consistent as they come. He's one of the most dominant big men in the state of Ohio. And last night, he did what he needed to do for his team.
Speaking of the state of Ohio, Coach, it's on to Mentor next week. Before we talk about that matchup, every win that you guys get in the playoffs, is that more of a feeling for you guys like, hey, we can do it. Look how we've done it. This is what we need to carry forward?
I mean, it's week by week for us. It's been that way all season, but especially in the playoffs. And so now, all our focus has to be on Mentor. You know, I think we've had really good weeks of preparation these past 3 weeks. There's just been a different dial-in, a different focus. So I just hope that we continue to do that as we move through the season. And hopefully, we play well enough to be sitting here next Saturday as well.
Yeah, and I told Coach this last night, Billy. Even though they lost to Massillon 16-7, I thought that game really maybe sent, if your kids needed it, Coach, a confidence message that, hey, we can play with anybody in the entire state, regardless of division. And Massillon's as good as they come right now with the way they're playing. And even though it was a loss, I thought that was a huge boost for your kids. Did they take it that way?
I think so. And I think they saw that we, as good as we played, we could still play a lot better. But again, that starts with preparation throughout the week. And I think that was an aha moment. Like, damn, fellas, we are really good, but we can be, you know, borderline elite if we get this stuff together and do it right.
And Billy, for them last night, Coach, still 8 for 85 yards, but it's not a century mark. It's not double-digit penalties. You limited them, especially in the second half. I know it's been something you've been working on all season. How do you work on that to try and get that through to the kids?
I mean, I've done everything I can think of. These dudes are just hard-headed. You know, we run them for penalties. We do up downs for penalties during practice. You know, we have a penalty chart. You know, just I mean, like I've done everything that I can think of in my coaching realm to try to do it, but it's just something we got to keep working on.
Yeah, it was a positive last night. Yes, you had 2 touchdowns called back, Coach, but when the game was on the line in that third quarter especially, I thought that was your best quarter of football all season long. Offensively, defensively, special teams, all 3 played their best quarter.
Without a doubt. Very proud of them. And just I'm proud how they stayed together through some adversity, and ultimately that's what got us over the hump.
First off, Coach, are you able to say where you're playing next? Do you know the location?
I don't know it, not yet. I've heard murmurs of some different places. I anticipate we'll be at Briars Field as we always are when we play a Cleveland team. You know, they got to travel 20 minutes. We got to travel an hour and 10 minutes. How that's fair or how that's, you know, neutral, that's beyond me. That's on the OHSAA. But that's what I'm anticipating will be at Parma again.
Yeah, I'm hoping not. I hate that stadium, Coach. It's
I hate it with a passion.
You and me both.
Passion.
Yeah, I just, to me, I know it's big and can hold a lot of people, and they're about selling tickets and whatnot. But I would not want to play on that field. I would rather play in a parking lot, you know, in a grass field, a swamp, you know, in the sand on the beach, whatever, than playing at Byers. Right. I'm sorry, that's just me.
Look, Coach, you got Rhoda going here.
Go ahead, go on your morning rant, Kitty.
Hey, I've said it for years, and I've had to do many a games there. It's a wind tunnel. The turf
dark.
Isn't.
It's just so dark. It's like it's the darkest place I've ever played in.
So as far as the opponent goes, Coach, you'll take on Menor. They have a reputation, obviously, over the past really 20 years of close to the success of some of the private schools. Will you guys prepare for such an accomplished program, good team this year too?
I mean, it's the same way we approach, you know, the past couple of weeks. You know, I mean, we understand it's a big game. It's about executing the details, playing with tremendous effort. And so, you know, Menor's no exception. You know, we had that opportunity to get over that hump a couple of years ago. They beat us on the last play of the game, round 2. And so, you know, that's still looming. But, you know, Menor is Menor. And they're a perennial power for a reason. And so we'll have to play our best game to date. We'll definitely have to get out of our way with the penalties if we stand a chance to go up there and take one. And so our work's cut out for us.
The redemption tour continues for McKinley, Billy. They got redemption last night by beating Jackson. And as he mentioned, Mentor, a couple of years ago, all right, coach, whatever motivation you need to use to get your guys focused, you use it as a coach, don't you?
Everything you can think of.
Love it. Coach, thank you for joining us this morning on that. I'll hope for a great location for you. Maybe mix it up, get something new. But thanks for jumping on with us.
You got it. You guys